Eat spider! Eat spider! Spider!
Greetings all. Well, this right here is Gracie's Halloween spider toy. She loves it. Yeah, the green fur drives her crazy. Yeah. So, today I would like to talk about the cultural significance of spiders. It seems to me that maybe a little less than half, roughly half, of people that, in the United States at least, that when they see a spider go, ah, kill, kill. And the other half just see a spider. I belong to the other half. I just see spiders, although spiders in my life have seemed to be teaching me lessons. I've been taught how to deal with spiders, not by our society at all. They led me in the wrong direction. I've been taught by the spiders. Highly unusual. So allow me to tell you the story about how I learned from the spiders. When I was a young boy, I lived in Tennessee, and it was in a rural area where we didn't have garbage pickup, we didn't have transfer stations or dumps even in those days. The trash was basically taken out back, piled up, and lit a match to it, and we'd burn the trash. Well, what this left behind then was, piles of rusty old tin cans and, melted bottles, mostly. As a kid, if I wasn't probing around through the dirt in the hillside trying to find a magic rock or something, I'd usually be found over on the garbage pile investigating old rusty cans and such. Well, one day I wandered up to the pile, and right on top there's this soup can sitting there, and inside the soup can was this beautiful jet black spider, glossy, and it was turned with the bottom towards me, so it had the distinct, brilliant red hourglass of, naturally, the black widow. Most of us recognize from that description a black widow spider. They are pretty much hairless, shiny as gunmetal, and they got that hourglass on the females. The males are brownish. They're not as easy to see, but the females are really distinctive. Well, this one was hanging in there on a web, and it had an egg mass. And it is my understanding that female black widows, when they have their egg mass, are extremely toxic. That's the most toxic period of their lives. Well, I saw that spider in the can, and I went, oh, is that beautiful? I didn't have a fear reaction. My natural reaction to most arachnids, insects, and other things like this really is one of wonderment. And it was, yeah. I said, man, that's a beautiful creature. So I picked up the can, and I ran to the house to show it to my mother, which is what most kids will do when they find something beautiful. And so I ran inside, and I said, Mom, look what I got. She took one look in the can. Her eyes went wide, man. She dropped the iron. She was right out grabbing the can of gas for the lawnmower on the way out, covered that pile in the spider with gasoline, threw a match on that thing, and as I'm standing there, I watched my spider burning, dying to the ground, going up in smoke, and did not quite understand at that age what my mother's problem was. It was such a beautiful creature. Why do you want to kill it? Well, time passed. And, well, one day, we were living in Illinois, and I was in the backyard with my mom, and we were working on our vegetable garden. I probably would have been junior high age, I believe, somewhere in there, grade school to junior high. And, well, up in one corner of the garden, in the corner of the redwood fence, is a great big orb weaver nest, and right in the middle of it is that great big giant golden garden spider. That's the black one with the gold markings, and the really long legs. Yeah, I'm going, oh man, Mom, there's a spider in the garden. Should I kill it? Of course, having learned from my mother from society about spiders, and she says, oh no. See, my mother didn't like black widows, but she wasn't particularly stupid when it came to spiders or insects or relationships in nature. Much of what I know, she originally taught me. And so she knew that the spider was basically a guardian in our garden. The golden garden spider would take care of insects that might chance to fly in there, moths that were going to get on the cabbages or something. And so Mom says, no, leave that spider alone. It won't hurt anything. It doesn't hurt vegetables. It only eats insects. Okay. So, kind of a dichotomy in my mind. Spiders are terror, burn them. Spiders are good, preserve them. Yeah. Well, so I kind of wrestled with all of that, but not often. The only time it really ever came up is when somebody else, started killing spiders or whatever. So then years passed. I was still living in Illinois at the time, but I was in my early 20s, out there on my own in the world, and had rented this place. It had a big backyard, and so I decided I was going to start to grow a garden. So I started sowing some seeds in pots on a picnic table in the backyard from my plants. Well, one morning I came out to check my stuff, and whoa, and behold, what I saw was that my plants were completely wound up in a silk, like a cocoon. The leaves, really, just clamped together like this, totally wound up. And going down the row of plants, I could see they've been all wound up. And then in the midst, there is a spider on one of the plants still working on putting a cocoon of spider web around my plants. I looked at it and I'm thinking, what in the dickens is going on here? Of course, to begin with, I had never seen spider behavior like this, where they will entomb a plant in silk. Never. That's not something I know of. Or have I ever seen it again, tell you the truth. I had a look at this critter, and it appeared to be the class we would call jumping spiders, the type that will spring, okay. But I didn't recognize it. Well, I'm not an expert on spiders and insects, but y'all can guess. I spent a lot of time outside looking at stuff, and so I knew most of our basic spiders in the region. This was not one of them. Never seen a spider like it in my life. Never seen one like it again. It was fairly large for a jumping spider, maybe twice the size of my thumbnail. A pretty good sized spider. It was very much black. It was very dark, but not shiny, flat, sort of a black. And in there, then, there was this emerald green pattern all across its abdomen that, if I was to say, it looked like hieroglyphics. The stuff almost looked like writing. It was weird. Anyway, I gave up worrying about the interesting spider and decided that I can't have this thing entombing all my plants in spider silk. I said to the spider, what are you doing? What is this all about? And so I went ahead and I took my thumb and forefinger and I flicked the spider off of the plant into the tall grass next to the picnic table. Work done. Started unwrapping my plants from all this spider silk. Wait, that night, I went to bed. And deep into the evening, I'm sleeping away and I fall into a dream state. Well, in the dream state, I find myself standing in front of my plants at the picnic table again, exactly as I had been during the day. As I'm standing there, I realize I had pitched this spider into the yard next to this table. Well, I suddenly had this thought in the dream that says, wow, what would happen, if this thing jumped back at me? Well, sure enough, Spider came flying back out of the grass, landed right on the side of my left leg, and started tearing at it. Tearing at it, biting the heck out of me, and man, it hurts. And so I'm going, oh man, and I rip that spider off and I throw him back into the grass again. Well, I no sooner throw him into the grass and he rebounds like a rubber ball, and it's back on my leg and it's ripping at me. I probably did this 3 or 4 times in the dream. I don't know how many times I repeated throwing the spider off my leg, but after the last time I tossed the spider off, it dawned on me, wow, what would happen if there's more than one of these here? And I suddenly had a vision of dozens of them flying out of the grass and covering me and tearing at my body. Well, that was pretty horrid, and that's not the kind of thing you really tend to sleep through. And I woke up bolt upright in the bed, terrified, sweating, and with a pain on the side of my left leg. I got up, turned the light on, took a look at my leg, and right there where in the dream I had felt that spider tearing at me, I had a big red welt with a white pus head in the middle of it, much bigger than any pimple I've ever had, and not exactly the place you usually find one, on the side of your leg there. It appeared that I had a spider bite on my leg. Well, it was a dream spider. The spider wasn't actually there, but I got this bite and it hurts. Well, young man, I ignored the situation. That was the nearing the 4th of July weekend. I had time off work, me and friends and all. We all packed into my pickup truck and with my brother, and we took off and headed to Rocky Mountain National in Colorado, and decided we were going backpacking in the Rocky Mountains for the holiday. Well, it was nice. It was good. We made her up about 11,000 feet. We did some trout fishing. That was great times. My brother got altitude sickness, and started hearing people calling me in the woods with bullhorns because he was hallucinating, But throughout the whole thing, the boots I'd been wearing, which were high-top combats, it kept rubbing against the area where the spider bite was at. And, of course, camping, hygiene, yeah, it's not that good. Anyway, I got back home, and what I found was that the bite was spreading. I had numerous welts with heads around the area, and the skin was beginning to turn black and breaking down around the bite. My skin was falling off. Oh man, this is not cool at all. A dream spider? Well, I went back to work, and, I hadn't qualified for insurance at work. I hadn't been there long enough. I was a machine shop inspector for alternators and starter motor rebuilding. And so the only way I could get coverage for medical treatment was I lied. I made a claim that this spider had been under my desk at work and had bitten me at work. Okay. It's a small lie. It put me at home. Anyway, so I got medical treatment for it. The doc took one look at it and said, no, man, this is secondary infection on an insect bite. Well, a spider's not an insect, but close enough. He might have said spider bite. I don't remember. But it was secondary infection on a bite was his diagnosis. Made sure I kept it dressed. He gave me some antibiotics, I believe, at the time, too. And, it did heal. It cleared. My leg came back to normal. And shortly afterwards, I had a good friend of mine, Alex, come to me and say, hey, Bill, I'm going to ride a bicycle from Chicago to Phoenix, Arizona. You want to come with me? I said, gee, Alex, what the heck? Sounds like fun. And so we did, and it was a massive adventure. I may even talk about it someday. It was amazing. Wouldn't have missed it for the world. Anyway, Alex, totally, for me, is a blood brother. Alex and I were so tight, and I could trust him. He's gone now, but Alex's family, they were Ukrainians, and Alex had been an infant when they carried him out. He had been one of those that actually they'd been smuggled out through the Berlin Wall in Germany. That's how they got into the United States, was through Germany, out of the Ukraine. The whole family, there was a whole bunch of brothers and so on, and they all made it out of there and got here. Well, Alex's family was, on one hand, Alex and his brother Val, for instance, who'd been here since they were quite young, they were as American as most of us. They spoke perfect English, blonde hair, blue eyes, looking Euro people. There was very little about them that you would have noticed that they were immigrants. Okay, I mean, they both had actually spent time in the U.S. military and so on, but their cultural background was so different. The area of the Ukraine where they came from is an area where the Romans never conquered, and so Christianity in the form of the Catholic Church was never instilled on this population by the sword under the Romans. And so they were not Christian. The traditional belief systems, shamanic belief systems, witchcraft of the Ukraine is what at least the mother possessed. Alex's mother was a witch. She used to use magic words and tie strings around warts to get rid of them and so on. And the entire family swore by her practices as being functional. They believed in it. Anyway, so they had a few social beliefs, cultural beliefs that were behind that very American exterior that you might not recognize. They were quite strange, really, because of this, witchcraft background in the family. Well, Alex and I rode the bikes to Arizona. We liked it down there so much that we decided to move in, and so I found myself a house to rent, and I had lots of room in that house and not a whole lot of money, so I started renting rooms to snowbirds, people who'd come down for the winter, and well, eventually what happened is Alex's older brother, Val, decided he was coming down, needed a place to live, and so with his wife and kid, they moved in with me. And Val, he was, again, great guy, just the kind of person you really want to know. And I enjoyed my times with Val. But one day, we were sitting across each other at the kitchen table after breakfast, and we were talking about something. I don't know what it was. Now, Val was maybe almost 10 years my senior. Okay, he was older than I was. But always treated me with respect. Was always a good thing. Well, as we're talking, a spider heads across the kitchen table. Now, bear in mind, this is after my experience with my garden plants and the phantom spider bite. But kind of reacting to that whole social thing I grew up in, that spiders are evil. Maybe I was hungover, probably was hungover, I don't know. But I reached out with a fist like this and I went wham! And I flattened that spider on the kitchen table with one blow. Well, I didn't hardly get my hand up off the table, and next thing I know, Val had grabbed me by the art collars, and he had thrown me against the kitchen wall. Now, it's a good friend of mine, okay? And he looked me square in the eye and very firmly, emphatically said, "No one kills spiders in our house." I said, "Okay, Val, cool. Never going to happen again. Okay, will not happen again. And he was, I mean, it was all about the traditional beliefs from the Ukraine, you know, that when one kills a spider inside their dwelling, the dwelling will be cursed. You know, you will end up with bad luck. It's like breaking a mirror 7 years, you know. You don't do it. Well, I kind of flashed back on my experience with the dream spider. And I said, you know, when a real good friend of mine throws me up against a wall with a stern warning like that, there's more going on here than just Val's personal beliefs. I'm being taught something I need to learn, you know. And so that was the last time. I never killed a spider again. Not one. Not even the black widows. In the nursery in California, I'd take the widows out back, you know, let them go. I don't kill spiders. They eat insects. They eat flies. You know, they eat all kinds of things that plague me anyway. And not a single one of them is actually out to get me. I mean, I imagine in people's minds sometimes when they walk around and see a spider and go, ah, spiders kill! That the spiders are down there looking up going, oh, it's one of those big things, and God, they're dangerous, I hate them. Yeah, that's probably how it is, you know. If spiders can think that deep, they do. They should be afraid of you and me because we got some real bad attitudes about them. Well, anyhow, there you go, folks. It was the spiders that taught me the proper way to address an arachnid with friendship, kindness, and care. Bonnie loves her spider. She's not afraid of it. Aloha.